Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our next session. We'll be led by Dr. Hari. He is from Wentworth Institute of Technology, and he'll be presenting with us today um, in this teaching demo session. Hari, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kiana. Good morning, everyone. And I'm a new professor, assistant professor at Wentworth Institute of Technology Construction Management Program. I came in last summer, did part-time in summer and joined Wentworth full-time from fall. So today I'm going to talk about implementing VR and AR into construction education. This is my research field that I'm interested in, and I would like to pursue more on this side. So I started doing some classroom activities with it, and I wanted to show you guys what I did, and probably it's going to be useful for you guys in your classroom. So let me share my screen or my PowerPoint. Let me go from there. All right, can you guys see it?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a very basic virtual reality quiz that I actually created in my planned reading class. And the goal of this is to make sure like the students actually can integrate or can actually connect with the 3D environment and understand like how a paper plan is converting into a real project. That's where there's a big gap that I was able to identify when I was teaching plan reading course for like probably 3 years in a different university. And that's where like, I thought like this should be a practice or a classroom activity, multiple classroom activities that should be used. So what I'm going to talk today, I'm going to a little bit talk about the introduction, talk about why we are and how it is used in the industry, and what are the challenges. Basically, why students are struggling when they have to visualize something, and what are the problem there, and what is my motivation in order to come up with this VR activity, and how the activity process is, how I actually worked with it. And I'm going to also show you some VR links that I actually created. And then I also connected this to the Blackboard. I was using Blackboard at the time back in a different university. So how it is connected with Blackboard, and the students can actually see their scores and know like what they did wrong with the activity and all those things. And then finally, I have my future work, what I'm currently working on and would like to pursue in the future. So VR, virtual reality or augmented reality, both are different, of course, but when it comes to education utilization, I think both can be connected or integrated together, and that's what they call it as mixed reality. That's what MR is. VR is extensively used in construction industry now for construction sequences. There are a lot of technology they are trying to embed with BIM modeling and then monitoring the construction progress. They also provide insights for the planners and schedulers in terms of like, change orders, in terms of like, if there's a change, if there's anything going not right in the site and they have to change that on their schedule, those are things that you can actually do with VR sitting in your office, because that's the advanced technology that people are using. The biggest companies that are using that is McCarthy, one of the companies. Like, I constantly look at their advancements in using virtual reality and augmented reality. And resource allocation is another thing that VR helps with, and spatial sense. I mean, I think a new grad getting into the site, I think spatial sense is very important to those workers who don't have like a lot of experience on the site, and understanding the entire site through virtual reality modules are going to be like one of the future, um, you know, uh, one of the future thing. And safety, there are a lot of trainings they actually do. I don't know if you know, like even on the Welding Training Institute, they actually came up with like completely on a VR models, and they are not training anymore with like in-person trainings or anything. They're actually everything is done by VR, and that's where the future is there. I mean, all the trainings are done, all the safety trainings are done through VR. And when I worked in a different place, I was working with there are like spatial there are a lot of trainings that is going on through like VR modules, and then people use that to certify. Even one of my colleagues back in Arizona State, he was using um, for example, he was actually using video games or Unity games in order to teach safety to the students. So there are a lot of ways that we know, specifically virtual reality is playing a big role in the construction industry. And so what are the challenges that I saw? When I was teaching this plan, it is called as plans and specs in a different place. So when I was teaching plans and specs, the basic thing was the students were really having trouble, difficulties in visualizing construction components and systems. When I talk about different components, when I say like go and find the concrete, where is the concrete wall, where is the front porch, and all those things, they do have trouble identifying with bunch of plan readings in their hand. And pandemic, that also, I didn't really create this VR links and everything for pandemic, but pandemic actually is a blessing in disguise, because now the students can actually buy a $3 Walmart VR goggles, and they can just put their cell phone inside and actually learn through that. So it's not very expensive one. Um, so pandemic also helped student no also helped me in order to actually give this to the students. I started this before pandemic, like I said, but exactly when I was going to give it to the students, it was a lockdown, and I just have to share as a link to them. And I was thinking, what is the best way to do it? Because not everyone is going to have a VR goggle with them. So I created a desktop version of it, not just a VR version of it, but I also did like a desktop version of it so that they can actually access it. So I'll show you a link on that in the future slide. And like I said, connecting the 2D paper plan into 3D sites was one of the biggest issues, and there are numerous number of research publications on why visualization is really hard for students. And I'm on the same page with that. And obviously it is different for different students based on their skill set and everything and their experience. But one biggest difference I saw is, when they try to do it on a paper plan and when they try to read it, they just get frustrated very quick and they just give up very soon. That is one thing I keep seeing students having trouble with. And that is where I thought like this is going to be one of the best idea to do it. And my first best idea is not a VR. It's actually a block activity. So I created this block activities where, you know, gave them like bunch of blocks. I'll show you a picture on it, but gave them like bunch of blocks, and asked them to build something with it, like a Lego blocks, and then ask them to do like something with it, and then ask them to do like sketch the top view, front view, left and right views, and all those things. And that's where I started. And then I gave it to them. And there's two different ways I did it. One is like I gave them the sketch and asked them to build it, and the other one is I asked them to build and do their own sketching. So there are two different things I did. It ended up with like too much fun traveling back in time, because you can see this, and this is a little kid who's doing this, but that's what the class students were doing. And they were doing like lighthouses, castle, and I also had like students telling like doing like just the fence and said like, oh, it's a prison. You cannot see anything inside. This became like not a visualizing way of doing it. It's more became like a childish, fun way of doing it, and that is my motivation. So that actually I started here with the basic, and I know like this is not helping, and that is where I want to get into VR or the virtual reality classroom activity. So the basic question here is how to help students more, how to help students to visualize more. So I took 360-degree pictures of the buildings, completed buildings. Obviously, I didn't have anything on the site, but that's one of the future work. And then I also gave them the 2D plans or the paper plans of that specific project or the building. And then students were provided with VR goggles and paper plans of the same project. And this, I gave them the web link. I created the web link, and I posted them on the Blackboard learning management system. So students are required to use their cell phone. Most of the students had their smartphone. For those who didn't have their smartphone, I created like a desktop version for them so that they can actually access the desktop version of it. So students are required to use it, and there's someone waiting there. So students are required to use their smartphones to log in through the learning management system. And then they can access the web link that I actually provided. When they click on the link, they can get into the views. So there's going to be multiple views on one VR link. For example, I might actually go with first floor on one of the link. And on the second link, I might actually go with like basement. And then the third link, I go with like second floor. And then each link had like different um, each link had like different multiple choice questions on it, and each link had like at least 2 or 3 views on it. So on each view they had like bunch of questions on in front of them when they actually use the VR goggles. So they cannot go to the next view without finishing that multiple choice quizzes. So they have, if they have like 2 questions on one view, they have to answer both of them before they can go to the next view. And that way they didn't skip any questions, and at the same time they had some patience to look around and find the answers on these specific questions. And that is what I did with the VR classroom activity here. So I'll show you some videos and some links on it. So here's the one like from the previous university, like I said. And the students were actually using it. They were actually having fun on it. And you know they rotate their heads to look at like all the 360 ways, and then they try to they try to understand what they have on the paper plan, and then try. So for example, there'll be a question telling like, you are on room 101 on this view, what is the total square feet of this room, for example. And then they cannot find the total square feet just by wearing a VR goggle, so they have to remove their goggle, come back to the paper, then they have to look at the floor plan in order to find the total square feet of that specific room. And then they have to answer that back on the quiz on the VR goggles. And that's what they did. So, there are funny things, you can see like, one at the back, he's just watching the walls, and, it's fun to watch them like, enjoying it and also learning out of it. And like I said, they cannot move to different views without finishing the quiz. So that is also like a stopping them from just playing with it and answering more questions or answering the quizzes. So that is what the goal there is. And this is what I did. And yeah, I think I have a couple more minutes and then I'll wrap it up. So the process, that is a different story. I mean, watching it, playing with it, it's completely fun. Seeing students actually having fun with it is amazing. But the process by itself took like almost 3 to 4 months for me to understand and work on it, because I don't know anything of. I'm not an IT person. I don't know a lot of programming. I mean, I do a little bit of programming, but not a lot. So I have to use different software in order to assemble everything. So basically, it starts with a 360 camera, because you can use a Canon camera and add a lens which is like fish lens, and that will give you a 360 view on it, and that is like more accurate when compared to using a 360 camera by itself. So now, which one you go for? Do you go for a fish lens, or do you go for a 360 camera with like 8 cameras on them or 8 lenses on them? So those are like, a lot of questions on how to do it. So I had to do some research on it. And then stitching and processing images. Of course, the camera will have software. Like, if you use a Views is a company which actually gives you a 360 camera. So if you use Views, then they have a software connected to it. But the stitching that they do, automatic stitching of images that they do, is not most of the time perfect. So what you have to do, you have to take that image and you have to put it on a software which completely do only like stitching. So I have to use a different software and I have to do processing, all those things. And then I have to use Adobe Captivate in order to embed the quiz on top of these images. Okay, so that is so there are like different steps on this. Just for one project, just like 3 floors, you have to have like different steps on that. And then finally integrate them with like Blackboard or Brightspace and create a web link, which should be a smartphone compatible. So these are like different process to create this VR link. So let me show you some pictures on it. So here's I know like this is not very bright, but here's one of the pictures that you can actually see. And this is how the signs and questions are going to be. So how many exit signs can you see in this view? You know, so students will be able to like rotate their heads and then able to find the exit signs and then answer them. So for answering, all they have to do is just keep their just keep their cursor. They can see a little cursor on their VR goggles, and they just keep their cursor for a couple of seconds here, and it will select it. And then if they keep it again on the submit, it will again select it. So that's how they actually do the quizzes on that. So let me, before showing the future work, or I'll finish the future work and show you the VR desktop version of it. So the future work, what I want to work on this is going to be not just on one course, not just on plant reading, but I want to integrate, collaborate with other professors. My professors, my team is here. They always support me, and we want to collaborate with different professors here, and then we'll be working on different VR models down the lane. And also, I want to see if we can map this to the student learning outcomes and then develop a VR-based labs if possible in the future, and also get some insights from the industry board. That is also one of the important things. I want to talk with the industry and see what they are expecting when it comes to advanced technologies, what they're expecting the new grads to have or learn, so that we can actually implement that into the curriculum. Okay, so these are the future work. I'm still working on a lot of this. Is, like I said, this is a very basic VR model, but I'm still working on different ones on it. So let me show you what I have already, and then we'll go from there. All right, so here's my desktop version of it. So you can see like I can grab and look at different ways. So like you see, there's a question mark and there's a navigation. So there are two different things. So when I click on the question mark, it's going to show you like, a very basic question. Yes, I'm just going to click on one and then say submit and continue. And that is when, once I finish it, that is when I can go to the next view. So let's say I'm trying to navigate to the next view without answering this. Then I click on it. It says like, you did not answer some questions. You cannot move to the next one. So I just click on it and then ask you like, what kind of flooring can you see? I say both, then submit, then continue. There's one more question and just go inside. So now, this is all they can do it on the VR just without touching anything, just with their cursors. They should be able to navigate to different floors and different views on it. And whenever they keep their cursor here, it will open the, the quiz on there. So I think that's all I have. I think I just have one more minute before my class starts. So any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, Hari, what do they have to get the answer right to move on?
No, they don't have to. That's why, on the Blackboard, they have their scores and they can see where they went wrong also.
Harry, thank you for sharing that. That was very impressive. One quick question. I know you want to get to your class. What was the software you used for adding the question? Adobe?
Captivate.
Captivate. And then if they were using those like a simple viewers, I mean, those Google Cardboards or those, that they're not like really headset that allows interactive process, how do they answer the questions? You know what I mean? Because with the desktop, okay, they can click, but assuming that they're putting it on that viewer, putting it on head, they are going to be in 3D environment, but that doesn't have the capability of interaction.
Yeah, so when they move, so they can see the cursor on their goggles. So when they keep their cursor on 2 seconds, just on, let's say, one here, then it will automatically select it, and then they can go to submit tab screen, or sorry, submit button, and 2 seconds there, it will automatically finish and go to the next one. So it's like automatic moving. Once you once you stare at the same point, like for a couple of seconds, it will automatically select that option. And that's
Basically, by turning head, they can choose the option.
yeah.
I mean, it's
So
not like,
it's like,
the
you could,
pointer that you have with those fancy, viewer.
right, right.
Got it. No, that's cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm happy to answer.
So what was the feedback from the students? Did they like it?
Yeah, they loved it. They were like, one of the students was telling like, out of the, it was almost the middle of the semester, and he said like, finally, I see what I'm learning in this course. That's how they were like really comfortable. And like I said, I connected, I mean, I just showed you a few here, but I had like 4 floors of them, and I had like a lot of questions about like different things like floor plans. I even talked about basement. So there was one view on the basement, and it does like question like, where is the tornado shelter for this building? And then all they have to do is like rotate their head, and they can see on the wall, it says like tornado shelter there. And then, they just have to answer that, So, and also I tried to connect with the specifications, but it wasn't very, I didn't have enough time in a class class period to do that. But that's one thing. Yeah, they loved it. I mean, most of the students had fun, and they really liked it. Some of them said like, do more of like not the completed projects, but more of sites, like open sites, which is going on. And that's what some of the students said, like, that will be really helpful for us to see, like, concrete and all the rebars and all those things. And that's what they said. But yeah, most of them liked it. I did this like 2 semesters, and both the semesters, they really loved it.
Harry, I mean, that was my question. Was it like a more pilot program? And if the program kind of the department purchased those the headset, the viewer?
I actually bought it. It's I got an internal grant for actually buying it, and I got like 25, 30 goggles, and those are like $20 goggles from Amazon. And later I went to Walmart, and I found like there's one for $3 also. So all you need is just a box, a plastic box or a wooden box, and then you can put the computer, or sorry, you can put your cell phone on it, and then just watch it. So
I purchased the cardboard ones, 20 for $15, $20, something like that, last semester. But unfortunately, we switched to online, never got a chance to use them. So they're waiting for opportunity to be used as a pilot program in a class.
right. And I think Professor Sharon and myself, we were talking about showing this at least this semester to the planned reading class, and get some feedback from the students. And that's what we want to do, at least the desktop version of it, if not the VR version.